Hello and welcome to another episode of Guiding You Home.
Yo.
I'm Travis Avila. That was Senior Guapo, Mr. Jeff Landon. And we're also joined by Bobby Kelly.
Hello.
Come on, Bobby.
I got nothing awkward for you like that. I can't even compete with that.
No, you shouldn't try.
Whoa.
Jeffrey,
Hello.
you're leading the charge on this one.
I used to be random Landon.
That is so good.
Yeah, because I just
That
do the
is good.
most random things and like just throw people off a little bit.
Sometimes you still do.
Pattern disruptor. Like Chris Cucchiera, actually, our buddy, he's always like, Jeff, you just are the best pattern disruptor. I'm like, what is that? He's like, just like people are in their pattern and you just come in around and bleep.
Sounds
Mess it all
about
up.
right.
Sounds
That's what we do.
accurate.
It's fun. Anyway, we like to have fun. This is going to be a great episode.
Yeah, what's it called? Bobby.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Okay.
Why? Oh, no. Okay. Why you're probably wrong about what you think your home is worth?
That's perfect.
That works
Fantastic.
Is
great.
that the way we decided to word it?
Sure.
All right. You're
Um,
wrong. Join the podcast.
We don't want to give too much away, but it's a good one. And sometimes you can be wrong on both sides of it.
You can. It's interesting. This is going to be interesting. But yeah, we don't necessarily go exactly where you think we're going to be going with this. So
Yeah, so stay tuned. Hope you enjoy this one.
yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Landmark Real Estate Group in San Luis Obispo County, California. Jeffrey.
Hey, brother. Hey, so if you ever looked at your home and thought, this is an impossible journey to sell this house, there's so much to do, it's overwhelming. But we've got a great program for you. It's called Easy Sold. Reach out to us today. We will help you get started. Call our office at 805-904-0012. We look forward to hearing from you.
Senior Guapo.
What's up?
What's up, buddy?
Wasabi. All
Jeff's
right.
in a mood.
Jeff's in the
Jeff's in a
mood.
mood. Sorry.
Jeff's in
In
a
a
mood.
mood. I'm in a funny mood.
What's up? Why are we here?
Well, we convened together because we decided
It's such a formal word.
to wear the same clothes
Oh.
2 days in a row.
Oh, yeah, 'cause that's actually.
Oh,
So should we be a change of clothes next time?
Yeah.
Podcast?
Oh, yeah, I see what you're doing
We're not
here.
gonna create
yeah.
more work.
That's
Okay,
fine.
sorry. Okay, we'll start over.
Yeah. No, it's good. Let people
it's
in.
fine. Let people know what you
Let
really
people
like.
know. We're recording
I think
2
it's fair.
podcasts
At the same
back to
time.
back.
I know.
So if you see us wearing the same clothes, it's because it was the same day when we
Same
recorded.
day.
So chill out, everyone.
Relax.
Chill in the comments.
Chill on the comments. Yeah.
Okay.
Bobby,
Yeah. What's up?
what is this podcast called?
Oh, shoot. Okay. So today we are talking about, let me see if I can get this right.
Okay,
Why you are probably wrong about what you believe your home is worth.
great.
Yeah, that's good. Good enough.
Should we share how did you want to say this? Just tell the people.
I think it was something like why what you think your home is worth is probably wrong. Why what you think your home is worth is probably wrong.
That's
So-
also correct, I think.
it just sounds a little more confusing.
Lots of words.
Lots of words, but that made more sense.
Anyway, whatever, you're wrong.
Okay. You're wrong.
You're wrong.
You're wrong.
We're here
Probably.
to tell you. Maybe.
Maybe. Why though?
I mean, pretty much always a little bit wrong. But
Yeah. Oh,
okay, so this was fun. I was thinking about this, and it's interesting. I was like, well, people can be wrong in 2 directions.
yeah.
You can have people that think their house is worth way more, which is typical of what we see. Or you can have people, and I've had these conversations where I give them really good news. They're like, my house is worth that? It's like, yeah, roughly. So, when we do a listing presentation, before we go out to do the listing, we do a pre-qualification. We ask them a bunch of questions about their house. So condition, improvements, what is special features of your house, and we get a really good understanding of that property. And then we find comparable properties and we come share it with them. So depending on what those improvements are and things like that, people will either think their house is worth way more, or they'll think it's like, maybe not worth what it might be worth. Typically it's in the previous statement. They think it's worth way more. That outdoor kitchen that I spent $100K on adds $100K of value.
Right. I think it's 1-to-1.
101. So let's start with underestimating the value.
Can I ask you one question
Yeah,
before?
of course. Yeah.
How do you think people get to what they perceive the value of their home even is?
Oh, that's a good question. There's so many different ways. A lot of people think they're market experts and they like go on Zillow and they look at Zillow, and Zillow actually has like comparable properties.
Yeah.
And they go, oh yeah, that's similar to mine. That's similar. That's the best way to actually look is comparing properties that are similar. But they don't know how to make the adjustments of like what it's worth. So there might be a similar property. I love this as an example because it's easy for people to understand how Zillow could get it wrong. So this house sold for $2 million and it looks just like your house and perfect in every single way. Matter of fact, it's in the same neighborhood. So you're like, my house is worth $2 million too, right, Jeff? I'm like, I wish, but since I've walked around your house and I've looked for that ocean view and I can't find it, it's probably only worth 1.5.
Yep.
Pretty big hit. That one had panoramic ocean views, and it's a huge impact. Now, putting a value on views for an agent, for anybody, is super hard. So we have to look at other houses that have those same panoramic views versus the ones that don't, and then compare yours to the ones that didn't have the panoramic views. So that's the challenge.
I think also everyone always has like a friend who's a realtor, or like, you know what I mean? It's like, no, my buddy's a realtor. And it's like, okay, maybe hasn't been in the industry in 20 years and he spouted off after I have a few cocktails, like what he thought the house was worth.
$1 million.
It's like not going to professionals is the main thing, that when you're not consulting professionals for that opinion of price and value, it's probably wrong.
Probably wrong. Yeah. And let's just be honest too. Realtors are wrong often. Mm-hmm. I'll have a phone call like, man, I was wrong on your price. And this is kind of the feedback that I got. Mm-hmm. And so I guess this is why.
You are actually, though, freakishly right most of the time. It's weird.
Yeah, it's a superpower.
It's crazy. You just, without even like, hey, what do you think that home's worth? And you'll say, and you're mostly right.
And that's the thing, though. It's worth whatever somebody is willing to pay at that time. So you can
That's
do
exactly right.
And also those buyers weren't there. I mean, it's fair.
Yeah.
It needs to be adjusted.
Cool.
Yeah. So, and yeah, I mean, usually we're talking about after we set the value and we're doing adjustments, it's like anywhere from 3 to 5% typically. Mm-hmm. So, which is some substantial
can be a lot of money. There's also not just the objective components, but there's subjective, like the emotional connection you have, mm-hmm. That's sentimental for you, and your kids were raised there. Yeah. It's like, I understand, but
yeah, it's what it's worth to me.
Yeah. That's
priceless.
Piece of trim going up the door that has all their kids, like that.
Take it with you.
Yeah, to cut it out and take it with you. But that adds a lot of value to people. Like their memories and everything. Mm-hmm. It's like now someone coming in with none of those memories, and they have to make an offer. So you're actually like, we're gonna erase all those little measures.
Right.
So I think that it's interesting. Like people go up and down and their value, and sometimes they're wrong about it either way. Typically we're all wrong, I guess is what I was gonna say, is like we're all wrong a little bit usually. It's never exactly what, sometimes it is, but not always.
Because at the end of the day, we don't set the price as agents, and the seller doesn't even set the price.
Who
as
does?
The seller.
Ooh.
The market.
The market. That's right. So underestimating values. I like this one because this is typically this is when I see people that underestimate the value, and they're surprised at the value of their house. This is someone that does not picture themselves moving and finds them in a place where, like, you know what, actually we have to move, or our grandkids are just drawing us away, or there's a job. And these people are really happy with their house typically. I'm not saying that always, but they're typically really happy with their house. They weren't even thinking about selling. And then all of a sudden, like, I think we're going to make a move and we want to find out from a realtor, what it's worth. They're not tracking it weekly. They're not like going to HomeBot and these different programs we use and doing all their little updates and stuff. And so when we come and we share, they haven't been keeping up with the market. They haven't been reading the articles, and they're like, what? My house is worth this amount. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think, honestly, being a little bit disconnected from the value of your home in America, where we put so much emphasis on your worth of whatever, on your net worth, and being a little bit disconnected to it and like your equity, it's kind of healthy, I think,
Well, it's like, what does it mean to you?
What does it mean to you?
It's not money in your bank account. I think we think of it sometimes like that, but it's really.
It's just my house.
Yeah.
And this is where I live, and this is where our family lives. Yeah. And so that's typically the people that we surprise with a much higher value, or a higher value than what they were expecting. Mm-hmm. That's what we typically see. Very rarely that does happen.
The other thing too, it's sometimes it's not the home itself is worth more than they thought based on comps. It's that the home is worth more than they thought based on competition, like the market. If like a couple of years ago when it was crazy, you'd say, well, the comparables say this, but there's just so much buyer demand that you can get more, even more so than it will appraise for. So there's that situation. Yeah. Depending on the market though.
Very
right?
True.
Again, the market decides.
The market decides. Yeah.
Cool.
And it can swing you either direction.
Yes.
Like for thinking a house is worth more, like we see this a lot right now, like the square footage of a house, like a really big house, like people are kind of not really into that right now. They're like, I just want a practical house.
More efficient.
Yeah.
More efficient. Yeah. Utilities went up. Like PG&E over the last several years has gone up like 49%. People are like, I don't want to spend that huge amount of money heating this big space. So big houses all of a sudden are becoming worth less to certain people. So that's something that we're kind of seeing.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the estimating value, that is typically what we see. It's always what I prepare for battling when I go to a listing presentation. Like, okay, they're going to think their house is worth blank probably, or I ask them what they think it's worth. I'm like, and in reality, the house is worth something probably a little bit less, or maybe a lot less sometimes. And I think people put a lot of like emotional value on what they've done to the house. So these are our improvements. This is what we did. And even their dollar amount, like, could be a very real dollar. Like we put, we've seen this, we've put like $300,000 into landscaping. We should get that out, right? And I'm like, like 20% maybe, you know, it's great. Your landscaping is beautiful, but you did that for who? Hopefully yourself to enjoy it and whatever. And you have enjoyed it. But you're probably not going to get dollar for dollar out of that. And that's hard to break that news to somebody. And you can show them, like, here's the comp that also has really nice landscaping. And comp means like a similar property that has really nice landscaping and it's sold for this. Yeah.
But quality of life and ROI are not always the same.
They're definitely not the same. Another example of that would be like a pool. Like a lot of people love pools and a lot of people don't.
Yeah. It's another cost to maintain.
Yeah,
not everybody wants it.
And dollar for dollar, you're not going to probably get the money out of it. Now, sometimes it does make a house and it will substantially increase the value. So like, let's say you're in a hot climate or hotter climate, maybe in Paso, and you do this fantastic pool and it becomes a place where everybody envisions themselves having the best time, then that can like even be greater return on investment. It just really depends on the situation, right? And then I think people do this a lot, and we all do this. We say, okay, this is my opportunity to make a lot of money. I don't want to miss out on this rare opportunity to cash in. And subconsciously, we elevate the value of whatever we have, houses included, to be this number. And you're like, this is my number. This is what I want. And it's just a subconscious thing that happens to a lot of people. And it's because we're kind of like a money-driven society. And we talk about it, and then like, this will make my life so much easier. If I get this dollar amount, I'm going to net this. And just because you want it doesn't mean you're going to get it. So, and that's a lot of times what we're facing. It's just like, well, my house is this, and then I have to ask, well, why is your house worth that much more than the competition? I am trying to understand. Help me understand. Is there something I'm missing? And it might be, well, we have these high efficiency appliances. I'm like, that probably adds zero. Like it's not doing anything for you. So it's great to have. It's nice to have, but it's not something that people are looking at when they're walking through the house.
Right.
What about this, Jeff? What about we both agree on X as the price your home is worth, and the seller says, yeah, but I want to go $50K higher just because I want to. What's wrong with saying I want to start high because we can always go lower?
Testing the market. Yeah. And I have a lot of sellers that want to test the market. And I always tell them the same thing, like, hey, we can test the market. It's you decided on buying this property in the first place. You decided how you're going to improve it. You decided on what colors you paint the wall. It's all your decision. And then I get to basically market your property. You also get to decide the price that we listed at. It's in your court. I'm generally okay with listing it high, but this is the process that happens. We'll have very few showings. We won't have very many offers or any offers at all to negotiate. And there's less competition on your home. You know, what you want to have happen when you list your house is drive people's attention to that home. Eyes on the property, people walking through it, people seeing each other at open houses. There's competition. When there's no competition and nothing else, you know who's going to set the price for the home? The one person that writes an offer.
Yep.
Right? That one person has all the power. So, you know, that hurts you in the long run. Now, let's say it's $50K over. In a couple of weeks, they do a price reduction. You know, you can correct. You can do that quick correction. My opinion is, and kind of what we see in market stats, if you list a house competitively, price-wise, that you don't have to do that price reduction. And matter of fact, it might get driven up closer to that $50K. You usually make more money.
Yeah. And we're not saying we would never want to discount a property. But we're saying, price it appropriately, trying to get to where the market where you'll get that competition. Because what we want to get is your price or more.
Yeah.
But we have to also be realistic about what the market will support.
I think the other thing too that people don't realize, and it's is interesting is like the condition of your property matters a lot. Like if someone comes in and they're looking at reports and there's like just check a lot of things, and they're looking at it like, man, like this guy didn't really take care of his property, and what else is there? You know, that impacts the value. So you might look at the house at a glance, you're like, that's cute, that's nice, but there's dry rot, the faucet's leaking, there's some like weird fungus growing under the kitchen sink, you know, those type of things that will like drive the price down of the house. And there's not really a way for us to like see what the other houses had. Like we don't get the home inspection reports after the house sold and stuff, but like we're like kind of like, well, you might want to correct some of these things to actually get your price. So the condition does matter. Ultimately, it does matter in getting your price. Yeah. So people assume, well, like I guess my point is I've lived with this for years. Why can't they live with it for years? Yeah. Well, that big nasty stain on the carpet, they're going to definitely want to replace it. Like, but it's fine. We just put the rug over it.
Well, this is why at Landmark Real Estate Group, we have a couple of programs for our sellers.
That's true.
Based on what their objectives are and what they're willing to do. So,
yeah. And both of those programs are amazing. I mean, Easy Sold really helps people with that. It's like, I don't want to get beaten up in escrow. I don't want to have, a bunch of different negotiations over the condition of the property. So that's what our Easy Sold program is all about. And it still gets you the best money that you can get for selling your house. And then the top dollar is like that person that wants to hit their number and they know they can get it, and we help them show them what they can do. That's the top dollar program. It takes some upfront capital though, usually. Yeah. And so that's, what we go
depending on your time frame and what you've got. Yeah.
And we don't talk about this enough, but pretty much every house we sell, we do a minor stage at Landmark. Yeah. There's like, we're in there, long as there's some furniture there and stuff that we can use, we're out there, we're like doing the minor stage. We're making that presentable to the public in a way that's like top notch. So that's what we want to focus on is like, hey, we want your outward facing, we want your property to look just perfect.
Hey, Bobby.
Hey.
Sorry, Bobby. I was talking a lot.
I just fell asleep.
It's riveted.
It's like a lullaby.
Jeff's sweet voice.
Pricing.
Okay, Bobby, this has never happened to you. I know it. But let's say that you and your seller agree on what you should market your home at. Now, again, the marketing price and the selling price are often not the same. They're usually pretty close, actually, probably 99, 98% on average in SoCal County. Yeah. But let's say you're like, yeah, that seems like a good marketing price. We're going to go to market with that. And then 2-4 weeks go by and you realize, oh man, we were wrong. We were both wrong maybe. So then it creates an interesting situation because then what do you do, right?
First of all, that has never happened. Second of all, just so everyone knows, I don't do real estate anymore. I don't compete with other realtors. But in the past, the first conversation I would have had with that seller is already setting the expectation of if we don't get X amount of showings this week, if we don't get this many offers by this day, there's already a plan in place that price is being improved. Because that's the truth. It's like we're human. There's room for error. There's all the things we can think we know the best thing we're doing. you always need the plan of what's next. Yeah. So I would never let a property sit for 4 weeks.
Not in this market.
If it is not, if there aren't showings, if there is not interest. Yeah. Now that's not to say that there are properties that sit at the same price because they've gone back and forth. That's the other thing to remember. We have interest in the property. We are priced well. It's just a matter of now things have come up, in negotiations. That's different. So don't think just because you see something on the market.
Well, and like it's really difficult when you're the agent and you're like, wow, we had another good weekend, and you're fishing out the offers the next week, and then the next weekend's filling up as well, and you're like, there should be some offers coming in, right? Yeah. And you just need that one buyer to write the offer, and you're like, I don't want to do the price reduction yet.
But that's also like, there's so much feedback when you have that listing and you're asking every agent who showed the property, well, what did you think? How much interest do you have? What do you think about the price? Where are your people? Like, that's why it's so important because you're taking that information directly back to your seller and saying, hey, just so you know, 9 out of 10 agents said we're overpriced. Like we need to talk.
So this is really interesting. I think we've probably mentioned this before, but I've had this conversation. Like I just had it with my dad who's trying to sell a house in Idaho, and he probably needs to do a price improvement, right? And so he was asking me, what do you think? I was like, well, I don't know that market, so you need to talk with your agent there and everything. But in this market, here's what we might recommend. And let's say, just for easy numbers, let's say it was a $25,000 price reduction. Yeah. Sellers often think, gosh, I don't want to lose $25,000. Like, but the thing is, you were never going to get it. It's
such
not
a good point.
real money.
Yeah.
So I realize it's a really hard thing for sellers to wrap their brain around, but that's where that detachment that you were talking about is so helpful. And to know, yeah, we're trying to figure out where the market is and what the market will bite on to create eyes on the property and multiple offers so that we have more leverage to negotiate the best price for you. But if you get to the point where you don't have that and you need to do a price reduction, it's important to know, like, we missed it, and you weren't going to get that. And so don't think about it as a loss.
Yeah, that's a great expectation to set with them, and not to attach yourself to that number, which I think that a lot of us probably fail in having that first conversation when we're talking about those numbers.
They're so good.
Travis is so smart.
So smart, both of you. And I like sellers to think of it this way too. It's like, we're sitting at the kitchen table, maybe we're across from each other, but it's like, hey, we're on the same side of the table. Like you winning and getting the most amount of money for your property is a win for me.
Yeah.
It's honestly what I care about. It's like, I want you to win.
Yep.
I want you to be able to make this move to experience life wherever you want to experience, or like experience the house that you want to experience, or downsize, or whatever that might be. We're on the same side of the table. We're not adversarial, and we're not trying to convince you. We're really trying to help you see what's best for you. That's why we're here. If you knew what was best, then we wouldn't be necessary.
Yeah.
And because we happen to do this all the time, all day long, we have a pretty good sense of what might be best.
Yep.
And people generally trust that. They trust the instincts. They trust and then we can go to stats and look at them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, ultimately
numbers are our friend.
They are. So I don't know. I think, kind of conclude it here. I think it's like, yeah, we're typically, or most sellers are a little bit off on what they expect to get from their house, either high or low. I love it when it's low because we get that good surprise, but typically it's higher. Hey, let us help you adjust that and like see what you can do, like in making that transition. And maybe if you can't get what you want to get and buy up or whatever, or you think your house is unrealistically high, maybe it's not time to move. But let's talk about it. Let's work it out and then go from there.
Yeah. That's really good, Jeff.
Right
also,
on.
net sheets are really important.
Net sheets.
Just like, let's say, let's just look at the bottom line. Let's look at what you're going to net. When you get offers in, it's like maybe the purchase price that they're offering is less than list or whatever, but everything else works out to give you a better net than other offers that you got in. So
Dude, it's true. And
30,000
Travis
foot
is definitely analytical, so it helps with having him with you because
nerd,
Total nerd.
total
We
nerd in the
appreciate
best
that.
possible way.
Yeah.
so good. Yeah,
Hey, thanks, Guapo. That was great.
I had fun.
Good. Thanks for being here.
Love being here.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Peace.